How you doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Is Tracy going to do? You're going to be all by yourself?
I'm all
Enjoy yourself.
You're so far in there. She knows what we're talking about.
I would have already spread all my stuff out.
Good evening. I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the city of Freeport to order August 28, 2025. Please stand for invocation and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord, and we thank you for bringing us all together, Father. And we ask that you'll guide us and direct us so we make the best decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening again and welcome. To begin tonight's meeting, I'd like to recognize a special guest. We have Dr. Carolyn Zonia. She's with the Walton County Overdose Prevention Task Force, and she'd like to speak to us tonight.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I'm here to ask you to recognize August 31st. This is observed all around the world as Overdose Awareness Day. It's a solemn day to honor the lives lost too soon from overdose. Deaths from overdose in our country peaked in 2022 at 107,000 lives lost. We are holding an event that will bring hope and present resources, services, and connect folks to hope and healing on that day in Defuniak Springs. We would like to invite the community to come together in order to help us recognize those lives lost and to help connect folks to help. Tonight, we are asking the city of Freeport to join Paxton, Defuniak Springs, and our Walton County Commissioners in endorsing a proclamation to recognize August 31st as Overdose Awareness Day here in Walton County. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Zonia, I have prepared that proclamation for you, recognizing August the 31st as an Overdose Awareness Day in Freeport. Now therefore be proclaimed that the city of Freeport does hereby declare August the 31st, 2025 as Overdose Awareness Day in Freeport, Florida, in alignment with the federal proclamation and International Overdose Awareness Day. We encourage all residents to join in raising awareness, remembering those we have lost, supporting those in recovery, and committing to a future free from overdose deaths, adopted this 28th day of August, 2025.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Next, we have the consent agenda under tab 1 of the bills for the city of Freeport. Tab 2 is the regular council meeting minutes on August the 12th, 2025. Recreation Board is on tab 3. The revenue and expenditure reports through July of 2025 is tab 4. And 2026 holiday schedule is under tab 5. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for approval from the council.
So moved.
A second.
Motion been made and seconded. Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst.
Aye.
And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Motion carried. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda?
I have a comment, Mayor. Can we move tab 20 before these staff reports, just for the sake of time for this organization, because their kids have got school the next day? The fee waivers for the Gulf Coast Soccer Club? It's in the bottom there, that would be okay.
And you want to do what?
Can we move it before the staff reports, just for the sake of time?
Just make it first.
Just make it the first item, so their kids have got
Oh,
school
okay.
tomorrow. If that's okay.
Sure.
Mayor Barley, I have one add-on for the 331 North Landscaping Project. There's a great opportunity.
Any others? I have one I'd like to add, is the Art in the Park event. If there's no others, I'll ask for approval of the addition to tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded. Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst. And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Okay, we'll begin tonight with the Gulf Coast Soccer Club fee waiver.
Good evening. I have my partner in crime here with me.
Please state your name and spell your last name, please.
Amelia Beard, B-E-A-R-D. And my son James Beard is here with us too. He plays for Gulf Coast Soccer. So Gulf Coast Soccer Club is a nonprofit. They primarily practice in Walton Sports Complex, but I don't know how familiar you are with that landscape down there, but it's had some issues with all the rain. So on occasion, we come up here to Freeport. Because of our arrangement with the county, we get fee waivers as a nonprofit, so we don't budget annually for a lot of expense. And just using the Freeport fields, we blew through over half of our budget. So we're asking for a fee waiver as a nonprofit, and asking for it to be retroactive, which would result in, I think, a $700 reimbursement. And asking if we do have to need to use the fields again this year, that we would receive that same waiver or a reduction, whatever the council feels appropriate.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Councilwoman Hafner.
Thank you. Ms. Beard and I spoke. I asked them to come forward to ask for the fee waiver. My kids have also played with Gulf Coast Soccer here in Freeport. It's an excellent organization. They did give their statement of operations to show, you know, their revenue, their budgets, kind of what they have, and I think they're, you know, at a loss for net income. So I'll make a motion to waive their fees and credit them back what they paid prior.
I'll second.
$700-ish.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst.
Aye.
And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
And thanks for moving us up.
You're welcome.
City Clerk.
Good evening, council. Ms. Brandon actually asked me to bring this back up. This was a policy that was spoke about around 2016, long before a lot of us were here. And the policy was that all of the fee waivers would be brought in all at one time between June 1st and June 30th. We would collect them, and then there would be a workshop scheduled, and then the next meeting, you could decide whether to pass or fail them. She wanted me to bring this back up because of time, you know, so that we wouldn't have everybody coming in.
Well, and actually, there was a motion and a second, and it passed for the council to do that.
Okay.
There was actually never a policy made.
Okay.
And then it just kind of fell off.
Sure, no problem. So will you let all the organizations know that when it comes to that time that we're going to change it, they need to submit it in June?
If this passes, we're going to go ahead and send those out to the
Okay.
ones that we have already.
Sure.
They come every year.
Perfect.
And if there are ones that miss the deadline, we'll give them the policy for the next year, but they will come on a case-by-case basis.
Rebecca,
Sure.
where we're gonna be starting this, can we sorta, even though we're gonna put something out, maybe do it an extra time?
Oh, yeah,
ahead of time?
absolutely. We're not going to
So
just
we
do
can
it
get
now
every-
and forget about it. We'll do
Everybody
it
needs to know.
again.
Absolutely. No, this sounds great. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst. And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
City Manager?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one request, which is we need to, as a part of our county interlocal agreement with Public Works, each year we get up to 2 miles of road paved. We pay them to pave it. And so I just need to know what road I would recommend. 4 Mile Road is almost right at 2 miles, maybe a little over.
Okay.
It's gonna have a lot more traffic, there's a lot of development, but if anybody else has got any other road,
I think 4 miles.
I think that's a great idea.
I make the motion to make it 4 miles.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
And Councilman Farrell?
Aye.
Motion carried.
thanks, council, I'll get that out to the county, we have to notify them by October 1st, so I'll shoot that email out. Second, one other, just a quick, for you to be thinking about. Tim Parsons was gonna be here tonight, he couldn't make it for Liberty Partners, and so he will be here the next meeting, and y'all probably have seen where Senator Trumbull and Representative Abbott have started setting up those legislative
Yeah.
events, so we need to know what our asks are gonna be for the next legislative session, so
Okay.
y'all can be making a list.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Engineering.
Evening, council. I apologize for the list of items we have here, it's just the timing, it's the way it worked out. But I will get through these pretty quick. So we'll start with the first item, the Public Access Reuse Booster Pump Station Bid Award. So your tab 8, we received 6 bids for construction on the project, with the low bidder being North Florida Construction for a total bid amount of $1,179,975. So we would be looking for a motion to award the project to North Florida Construction, and also permission to issue the notice to proceed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
And Councilman Farrell?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, the second item is an engineering proposal for the construction engineering and inspection services for that project. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve that, or if you all have any questions on the proposal.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
And Councilman Farrell?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, the third item is the bid results for the wastewater treatment facility, the 2MGD expansion being funded by USDA. So we received 6 bids as well, and North Florida Construction was also the low bidder, so they would be doing both this project and the reuse booster pump station both on the same site. So that's great news to have one contractor working on both projects. The total low bid amount was $3,947,000. So we'd be looking for a motion to award the project to North Florida Construction. And then once we award it to them, the city is also going through the process of interim financing. So they would get the interim financing set up. So that would be contingent on the interim financing, and as well as contingent on approval by USDA. So.
I have a question here.
Councilwoman Hafner?
What do we know? I just remember we used Sawcross the last time, but what do we know about North Florida Construction?
They did the 331 North project, and so we've had a lot of experience as well doing treatment plants with them as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Philip Jones from Dewberry is here as well, and he's working with
Okay.
them.
I was just double checking.
Yeah. And we anticipate, I think, what was the time frame? About 18 months on this project?
I think we said
Weeks.
22.
Okay, yeah, so.
How long?
And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
yeah, so it was what, 22 months?
26.
Okay, yeah, for
What's it really
construction.
gonna be? I'm just kidding. Times 2.
Hopefully not, yeah.
Add 20 to it. Okay, I'll make that motion to approve to North Florida Construction $3,947,000.
I second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch?
Aye.
And Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
Approved.
All right, so tab number 11, the Bay Area Phase 1 construction scope revision. So just a brief update on this. So we've had a lot of communications back and forth with DEP regarding this project. This is what you all previously awarded, reduced scope for the construction due to the limited funding we had. So the city had a total of $6.3 million in grant, of which about 5.5 or 5.8 million was for construction. So after some conversations with DEP, they were able to award the city an additional $3,650,000 in grant. So you guys have basically almost $10 million in grant coming from DEP for this project. So it's enough to fund the entire project. So with that said, we would be looking for a motion from the council. Now, I will throw one item in here. So you will have, as a second item, the city will be purchasing about $2.6 million of equipment. So this is a real brief breakdown, just so you have it in front of you. And Bruce prepared this, so this gives you a breakdown of how the cost will be. But with that $2.6 million in equipment that will be purchased directly by the city to get tax savings, we will reduce this total dollar amount being awarded to the contractor. So their low bid was, give me 1 second, so the $9,009,825 was their low bid amount. We will reduce that, since the city will be purchasing the equipment, to $6,316,871. So that will be the amount that I would like to request a motion for the notice of award and notice of proceed to L&K Contracting.
And just so council knows, give Alex a
Just
pat on the back. for
Yeah, little applause.
3.6
Appreciate it. Yeah,
million.
Thank DEP, they were great to work with, and somehow they managed to obviously additional funds.
Alex, thank you. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve that amount, $6,316,871 to L&K Contracting.
Second that motion.
A motion been made and seconded. Further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch?
Aye.
And Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, the next item is the construction engineering and inspection proposal for that project. It will be about 12 months of construction, full-time. So we have a proposal for the city for those services. So I would be looking for a motion to approve that, or if you have any questions on the proposal.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. That's the 442,760.
Correct,
Okay.
442,760, yep.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch?
Aye.
And Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
All right, the next item is the purchase order for the airbag equipment. So this will be all the equipment coming from the airbag supplier. So it's a total of $2,692,954. And by purchasing this directly, we save a couple $100,000 in taxes. And again, this will just be a drawdown, so we may not use up this entire amount, depending on how many connections we finally make. But, so this is a motion to allow the city to create a purchase order with airbag.
I make that motion to approve that purchase order, $2,692,954.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch?
Aye.
And Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
All right, and then the last,
So just, I want to jump in here and Clay, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'll put you on the spot. So we have additional ARPA money per Sarah from the county that's designated for the 331 South. Has Melissa asked you about this now? Okay, she's going to at some point, hopefully. So we asked, Sarah asked and then I asked Melissa with the county if we broaden the scope of this Black Creek project, because it's in the county, to either hook up an additional street, ever how many units we could bring on for that amount of money, whatever it is. And she said she was gonna talk to Clay.
I believe the original ARPA allocation of the county was a septic to sewer area in that part of the county to eliminate septic tanks in an area that was environmentally sensitive to the watershed.
Yeah.
And I don't recall the initial ask being for specific parts of the project as it was a general area.
Yep.
So that being said, that'll be up to the council and BCC, but certainly it is well within the legal use of ARPA.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
We're working through that, and Melissa's gonna let me know if we need to go to BCC or what the next step, but I just want to at least let y'all know that was in the works, maybe.
Okay, great.
All right, and then the final item I had, so this is the, basically the SRF Bulldog Road wastewater treatment facility. So this is a resolution. It also includes a brief presentation of that facility, the SRF planning study. So we'll present that briefly, it should take only about 10 minutes. With that, it also goes hand in hand with finance item number 1 under tab 15.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing is, so we'll give a brief presentation of the planning report. Then we would be looking for a resolution to approve the planning report. As part of that resolution, the rates would also be approved as well by resolution, under a separate resolution. And then I did have a separate item here as well. It is the proposal that for Riper Analytics that their assistance was used to prepare the capital financing plan document for the SRF application as well. So that's in this tab. So what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and cut loose on the presentation, and then I will come back and discuss the next items.
Good afternoon, council. Oh, yes, sir, sorry. Did you say something?
No, you just said hello.
I'll offer an introduction. I'm Trevor Birch. I'm a project manager with Dewberry. Out here, you know Alex, and then Philip Jones here. I've been working on this project for the evaluation of alternate methods for wastewater treatment and disposal. So just going to walk you through this. This is what we're looking at for being able to approach SRF to get some loan dollars to be able to enhance the wastewater treatment and disposal capacity of your system. So a lot of this is driven by the rapid growth that's been going on in this area. Because of that rapid growth, there was a recent consent order on the existing facility, which was the catalyst for the growth of that facility going to what is now going to be a 2 million gallon a day facility. You know the amount of time that it took to be able to take it to that point. So because of the growth, because of having this recent consent order, knowing that there is this continued growth and there's capacity that keeps getting eaten up at this facility, something needs to be done. It needs to be done proactively because all this stuff takes time, especially when you're looking at acquiring land, which I've been looking at this for quite some time. So when you come to acquiring land, doing the planning, doing all that, and then this is easily been a 5 more year endeavor to be able to make all this happen and bring it to fruition. And it takes even longer too. You go through a construction process. So you have to stay ahead of this. And if you look at the chart, that being able to explain the chart, it breaks down some of the residential and commercial projected growth that you have. You know, the current expansion that you're going to be doing is going to allow you to treat 2 million gallons a day. If you'll see here, in 2025, the expected is a little over 1 million gallons a day. Within 5 years, it's about 1.9 million gallons. And then 10 years from now, in 2035, we've exceeded the 2 million gallon capacity to 2.3. So all this stuff has to be done proactively so that you're staying ahead of any of the problems that could occur. That being said, we looked at some ways that we could do this, looking at what to do, one, with your effluent, and secondly, how to treat the wastewater. So this map shows, it's a little difficult on the screen, but This is where the existing facility is. Then we looked at a couple of sites for the effluent, and this is just to show you, I'll have some zoomed in maps, but just to show you the relative locations of them. There's a 114 acre parcel for effluent disposal here, just on the east side of 331. And then there's an 82 acre parcel, which the city already owns. We evaluated that for both a new facility and for effluent disposal on that site. And we also used a baseline called a no-cost option or a do-nothing option, just to show sort of like what happens if we don't do anything. This is what we get. So, do we need to do something? Just sort of baseline. So, with no further ado,
I'm sorry, I have one question on
yes.
this. What was your opinion of the 82 acre site? What's the opinion for it to be used for? Of the 82 acres we already own?
For a treatment, so we'll look at it for a treatment facility
Okay.
and for the effluent disposal. I'll get into those in more detail here in just a second. Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
No,
okay.
and please ask questions as I'm going with it.
No, it's okay, thank you.
It makes it a little more fluid. So, the no-cost option for the effluent alternative, it doesn't fix any of your problems, and it also sets you up for fees, fines, all of that, through future consent orders. So doesn't really feel to be a viable option. The second alternative is the 114 acre site on the east side of 331. When that site was evaluated, the geotechnical engineer looked at it. The soils were not overly favorable there. It required about 46 acres of that site to be wetted, which would only give you about 850,000 gallons a day of effluent disposal capacity. There's also no current site access, it's landlocked. So you would have to deal with that as well. The third alternative on the effluent disposal is a 2 acre site that the city owns. For comparison, you would only need to have about 18.2 acres of that for your disposal area, and it would be able to handle about 1 million gallons a day. So you would use less, smaller footprint, and with a higher volume of flow. It also had a more favorable topography for what was going to be proposed for that site, as well as the location is pretty convenient for site access. There's a paved road already going all the way up to the site in an area that has some commercial and industrial stuff around it. So those were the three alternatives on the effluent. When we look at the treatment, similar to the first do-nothing option there, again, doesn't help you, doesn't move the ball forward. It also sets you up for the potential for fines and penalties. The second alternative is to do an expansion at the existing site, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is pretty busy and has a lot of stuff. It's pretty much already built out. Pretty much everything that you can see. So the property is roughly where this blue colored box is here. Inside of that, you can see the sandy area. Pretty much all of that is being used for something in the treatment process or effluent disposal. It looks like there's a lot of land available in these wooded areas. However, those are in floodplain and wetland, so you really can't use that land. You're pretty much locked into what has already been developed. So to do any sort of project there, the cost of building the treatment facility would be fairly similar to what we would do on an off-site location. But you would begin to cannibalize your infrastructure because you don't have the footprint. So you would end up having to build on top of where some of your current rapid infiltration basins, your ribs are. So you would have to look for additional capacity offsite because of what you would be taking up by putting structures there. Also, there's no land application site that's adjacent to this, so you're going to have to pump all of your treated wastewater or effluent to another site, which means a large pump station and linear infrastructure. So the third option is to use the 82 acre site. We would be able to evaluate the site, be able to put up to a 3 million gallon a day facility on it. Again, just to recollect, the effluent disposal capacity of this site was only 1 million. That's the most you're going to get out of it. So you'd be able to treat more. You would still have to look at something offsite for effluent in the future. But the first phase would be a 1 million gallon a day facility. So it would be matched up with the effluent disposal capacity. Having the second treatment facility would also allow the city to split their service zones, and it would be located centrally to other developing areas in the city. So all the lines that would be coming to it, you would have shorter runs of pipe getting to this facility, which would make that part of your infrastructure a little less expensive. Looking at all of these, we were going to combine the best effluent project and the best treatment project together to make one holistic approach to solve the issue at hand. Alternative 3 for both of these, which was the 82-acre parcel, having a second facility at 82-acre parcel, they were the least expensive with capital today dollars, and also looking at operation and maintenance, which is what the present work that it takes a 20-year projection of operation and maintenance, puts in today's dollars to compare that. And so the lowest number for both of those was to use the 82-acre parcel. Also, non-monetary benefits, just having being adjacent to potential public access reuse customers, and this commercial corridor that also has some residential coming in near it. It opens you up to some of that availability too nearby the plant. So the proposed project is the 82-acre site being developed for ribs and a treatment facility. This would again, it'd be a 1 million gallon a day facility at start that would be expandable up to about 3 million gallons a day for treatment, 1 million gallons a day of effluent disposal capacity. The cost of the project is about $78.4 million for this first phase, which is the 1 million gallon a day treatment facility and 1 million gallon a day RIP. That being said, we then start to look at what all impacts could go along with this. Is there anything that would preclude this site and this concept from being used? So the first, kind of lumping the first 3 together, they kind of fall together anyways. Wetlands, surface waters, and floodplain. All 3 of those exist on this site. However, what we're proposing to impact does not affect those 3 items. We would be upland of the wetlands, we would not be in the floodplain, and then the surface waters, again, there's a creek that runs along the edge of the site. We would be away from the creek, make sure we keep all appropriate buffers. Listed species, so that's any sort of protected flora and fauna. We've gone on the site, we haven't done any like specific surveys for very specific animals, but we've done the desktop research and through some of the site visits, through looking at where the wetlands and everything are. There was no listed species that was discovered on the site, but if there is, through the process of construction, there is best management practices that are prescribed on how to deal with any of these items that would come up. So those would have to be followed, but it doesn't preclude us from using the site. The same with cultural resources. The desktop study has been done for it. There's been no cultural resources identified on the site. If something was discovered, again, there's best management practices on what to do to proceed. And at this time, it doesn't preclude us from using the site. Potable water, I've created a specific slide for it, just so we can make this item clear. So the city operates a drinking water well just to the north side of this parcel. We're required by Rural Florida Administrative Code 62-610 that you have to stay 500 feet off of any area that's being used for the effluent disposal through this process that we're proposing. So as you'll see, that's the site boundary is the darker black line. The red here is the 500-foot buffer around these blue areas, which is your effluent disposal. So all of these wells, these are other wells too. This one just happens to be the city's. All these wells are outside the 500-foot buffer that we're required to maintain. Furthermore, during the groundwater bounding analysis that was performed by the geotechnical engineer, they evaluated the site and they placed background wells, which are outside of any area of potential contamination, just to make sure that what the background conditions around the site are. Those are placed, the wells are not within that, the background buffer area either. So based off of that finding from the geotechnical engineer, we do not believe that there's going to be any adverse impact to the wells or the potable water that's in this area. So that is also another environmental concern that we don't have to decide. The other impacts that we're looking at are financial. You've had several presentations on what financial impacts could be had going forward with this project. So this is sort of a recap and then tying it all together with what our proposal is. PFM and Riker have done a study. They provided me with this chart to explain what's going on. Essentially, they were looking at the money that you have, capital you have to invest in this through local funds. It would leave about a $50 million loan that we'd be looking at through the state revolving fund. That loan it's a 20-year loan that's roughly 2.74% for the interest rate. In order to deal, which would give you a yearly debt service of about $3.96 million, so just under $4 million. To be able to repay that debt, there would have to be adjustments to the sewer rate, essentially over the next fiscal year. So starting in October of this year, and then going for the next 4 years. Normally the city increases their rates based off of the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. This would be floating on top of that CPI rate increase. So for fiscal year 26, be a 14.77% increase on top of what you are normally increasing. So that would come out to a 17% increase in the sewer rate. The following year, fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 29, it'd be a 3.81% increase on top of the CPI, which would be roughly 6.5% for those 3 years. After fiscal year 29, it would revert back to just being what you're used to normally, which is the rate increase based off of CPI. To sort of show that on what that looks like for your customer. Again, the chart on the top showing how each one of these years it increases, so up to fiscal year 2030, at which point then it stays with the CPI. Your current rate for a user that has 5,000 gallons of usage for water and sewer, the bill is roughly $86 a month. The first bump, that 17% bump, would take that bill to about $96.67, so roughly a $10 increase during that first fiscal year. Each subsequent fiscal year through 29 would be roughly $5 additional per month for that same usage of water. These are other water providers in the Panhandle. And so you see the average rate there is $96.13. Again, that's in fiscal year 2025. So that your current rates for 2025 and almost equivalent for 2026 are better than or roughly equal to the average for other communities. It goes over that average as you go into the future years, but again, that's comparing your future years to 2025 rates. So there's the potential that if you're comparing those averages as we go through future fiscal years, that other communities would be raising their rates based off the cost of living as well. So it's really not as much of a disparity as it looks like when you're comparing 2029 to 2025. So just to make that clear on this graph, but that's what the financial impacts would be for the customers of the city. And then as far as that goes, we'll be looking at what the next steps are. So the first step is to get all the documentation, everything finalized, have it before SRF, so that it's a competitive process, so that Rain can rate your project. If it scores high enough and is listed, their meeting is in November, so we'll know in November if you are eligible for their loan program. If that's the case, there'll be a lot of paperwork signed, there'll be additional financial statements and things like that have to go back and forth. But at that point, once you're listed, you can begin to incur costs on the project. The reimbursements don't take place until you actually signed everything. But anyways, you'd be able to start moving forward. That being said, the timeline that we're looking at would be early 2026 is when the project would be bid. The awards would be the middle of 2026, which is also when construction would begin. We anticipate it being about a 2-year process to construct this plant and be able to get everything online. At that point, we'll be looking at the middle of 2028 for all the construction to be done. And then it would be a matter of past that, evaluating how the system's growing, what milestones we would need to be watching for to be able to do the 2 million gallon and the 3 million gallon expansions to the site, looking at what may need to be done in the system to provide public access reuse that would come from this facility. If we would need to look at additional effluent disposal sites as you begin to meet capacity of this plant. But that would be something that we have to just monitor over time once the plan is online and based off the growth at that time. That being said, that's what we're looking at. Again, the 82 acre site for a 1 million gallon a day treatment and effluent disposal project. Are there any, I know it's a lot of information to go through. Are there any questions that you have?
I will just add to Trevor's presentation. So basically, this presentation summarizes what you all have been working towards for the past year. This fulfills the public meeting requirement. We also have a public meeting requirement earlier this evening. So this is after our presentation, and then basically what I'll pass out to you all as well. So this is an updated resolution compared to the one that's in your packet. We got a couple comments from SRF, just adjusting the formatting and a little bit of verbiage. We did provide this to legal a few days ago once we got those comments, but just so you can see it before you. And so basically, what Trevor was presenting was just a formal presentation of the SRF document so that we meet the public meeting requirements. And then, yeah, so if y'all have any questions on that.
Councilwoman Haffner?
I just have one question. Is this gonna be full when it's done? I mean, because if it's $1 million gallons a day, are we gonna already be at capacity on this when we finish in 2028? That's my worry. Is it big enough to
So
start?
we can't really see the future. I mean, you know,
I mean, like based off.
Currently, yeah. Currently, the city is at approximately 1 MGD at their existing plant. So that plant is currently, as constructed, good for 1.5.
Sure.
And then what you all just approved was the expansion for another half MGD.
Right.
So that's going to take about 22 months.
Right.
That will put you at 2 MGD at the Earl Godwin plant.
Right.
So in 22 months, you all will have 2 MGD.
Okay.
And then this one will be an additional 1 MGD on top of
Which
that.
is gonna take some off the plant and our Godwin. So
Exactly, and
okay.
the goal is basically all that area north of 20 is going to get focused, shifted over to this Bulldog Road plant, but it's set up that you can easily expand it to 3 MGD.
Okay.
As long as we get additional property for the
What
effluent
is
disposal.
it, Alex, if you would go over the expansion time frame using this style plant? So let's say they want to go from 1 MGD to 2, they want to double. What's the time frame?
Okay.
Is it another 2 years? I mean, or is it less?
I think that's the core question here is, does council want to pay today's dollars and bite off even more to get 2 MGD today? when
That's
they don't want
that's
2
my
MGD?
question. Because if it comes online and we're already at capacity again, is it gonna be another 22 months till we have another, million gallons a day? That's, I guess, my question.
So the process that we're evaluating, it would be, the headworks of the plant would be, it's designed and will be constructed for 3 million gallons a day. So it'll be designed for its full capacity. So there won't have to be any sort of retrofit on your headworks, basically where the water's coming, wastewater's going into the plant. For the primary or the secondary treatment, it's designed for 1 million gallons a day. It's a rectangular concrete basin that's split into 2 units to basically just to split the flow. The way this basin's built is it's built to where we can do common wall construction. So the next basin that it would be equally sized, take from 1 to 2, you would build essentially 3 walls. So you would not impact what you're actually able to treat at the facility while this construction is going on. During that 2 MGD expansion, there'd also have to be an equalization basin that would be designed as well. As far as the time frame for design and construction of that,
Because of the elements involved, equipment ordering, that's where
That's where the delay becomes?
Yeah.
Because I think we saw that with Sawcross too with this
And
upgrade.
and the impact of COVID. on-
Right, COVID, I remember
Yeah,
that.
But it affected deliveries, certainly.
It did, yes.
And so it's probably going to, you think about a plant like that, going from 1 to 2, it's probably still a 3-year,
Yeah.
1 year.
That's a problem.
1 year
That
design.
to me
permit.
is a problem.
So why are we looking at starting it off at 1.5%? roads.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
One, I will add, so back when we discussed the design, I think originally back in the day, it was a half MGD
That's right.
expandable to 1.5.
And I remember that.
it was.
And the council decided at that time, hey, let's go ahead and design for 1 MGD expandable to 3. And so right now with Earl Godwin at 1 MGD currently, you've basically got, in the next 22 months, you'll have an additional 1 MGD at Earl Godwin. And then if you move forward with this project, then we anticipate, what, approximately 3 years for construction of this?
About 2 years.
2 years. So in about 2 years, you would potentially have 2 MGD of capacity available if you built the Bulldog Road plan and you currently have the Earl Dog. Now that's not, I mean, that's just going at the current 1 MGD of flow that we're currently using. So 2 years from now, you may be at 1.5 that you're using. And then so you'd only have 1.5 of capacity, if that makes sense.
I hear your concern.
Yeah, it is.
Councilwoman Hafner, because not all of our developments have started up. Reserve hasn't gotten started yet.
Right.
Okay, it's just something to
I
consider.
just hate to do this now, and in 2 years, we're gonna wish we would have built something bigger that we're already behind.
Boy, and where's the money gonna come from then?
Well, exactly, because it's gonna be a lot more expensive than what we're paying now.
Well, I'm gonna go to-
Other issue about this Bulldog Road is once you go over 1 million a day, we've gotta have a rib site. And so that means you gotta have more property.
Spray
We're
field
starting
roads
for
or
those
something.
right now. We're actively looking for sites within a mile
That's
of
not
the
those purple things for the ribs on the box. Oh, the little
Am I
purple squares.
saying that
Hey,
They're
correctly?
not.
It's
not
The
enough.
soil, it won't.
it's based off the soil's capacity to be able to allow the water to infiltrate. So it will only, the first runs actually on this 82-acre site, we were getting less than 1 million gallons a day. Made some adjustments to the sizes of the rib, really expanded out as much as we can get out of that property, and it's 1 million gallons a day. I guess there is potential. It's something that I would. It's not hope that I would necessarily hold on to, but it's possible that once this site is loaded with water, there could be a re-rate, right, Philip? And that could show that the site is able to handle a little more capacity. But I mean, it's not like, yeah, it wouldn't be like doubling the
When
capacity.
it goes to 3 million at some point, where's the rib site gonna be then?
So we would have to do, it would have to be offsite or, currently the Earl Godwin facility, it has about 2.5, it's a little over that, but 2.5 million gallons a day is what their effluent capacity is. But only 1.5 million of that is in the ribs. The other, I believe that's right, the other 1 million gallon a day roughly is through the public access reuse system. So these developments, as they're coming in, I don't know what the city's stance is on any sort of requirement for them to install the infrastructure for taking reuse water. But there's also the potential.
We have an ordinance for that.
Okay. So there's also, adjacent to the site, didn't exactly get into it in the presentation, but the schools have very large recreation parks that they're not currently using public access reuse. That may be a good source of effluent disposal for this public access reuse quality. So
Quite honestly, Cliff and I both, and Matilda we're already playing with this. The easy answer would be to come straight out of Bulldog Road and go across the road to the reservation. But the soils aren't perfect and it requires heckling to, and doesn't like people to drive around on their property. And if that doesn't work, then we could go east and cross 331, and then we would potentially look for places on the park property.
We are actively looking for properties with the right kinds of soil. And, there are developments that are coming online. We're focusing our attention on the larger developments that have some vesting to find a way that they can provide some.
It's not just as simple as finding a piece piece of land or pieces of land. It has to be the right soils on that.
Well, and two, we kind of walked past one part of your question, which was designing the treatment capacity larger for the initial facility. There is a fine line with that too. If you design a treatment plant that is too large, you can end up with effluent quality violations because of the basins being too large for what the treatment needs to be inside of them. So there is sort of a balance there. And it does make this a little bit of a harder target because of the rapid growth that you've experienced. And that's why the chart that I had at the beginning, so it actually uses in it, the formula that we looked at when we analyzed, it uses like a 20% growth rate over 3 years, and it drops to like a 14% growth rate over like the following, I believe, like 5 years or so after that, and it drops down to what the Bureau of Economic and Business, I can't remember what the R stands for. I call it Beaver. But anyways, they have a lower growth rate. So that's projected. So most of the growth that's in this chart being projected is happening in the first few years of this projection. After that, it begins to taper off to a more normalized growth rate. But again, there's no crystal ball in this. I wish I had one, and I'd be able to help a lot more people out with that. But
Latilda, how much of our current numbers are built into what they're talking about? I mean, I hear them saying growth rates, but we know what's paid for on the ground, and if
We
these
know
trees
what's
keep doing
vested, but of the development that we have, this probably accounts for 60% of our divested development.
And we have the backlog, so basically.
Just
that's
some
what
round
we are.
numbers.
Yeah.
If everything that was approved sitting in planning today was built today, we would be in a big bind.
I know.
And that would be above one, that'd be close, we need closer to 2 than 1, maybe 2 1/4.
We would, but Trevor makes an excellent point. It is a delicate dance with the Department of Environmental Protection because you have to show that you're immediately going to be able to need this. They're not really interested in what you have that's unbuilt. They're interested in what's coming online right now. They want you almost at the point of crisis before they approve it.
Well, we were at the point of crisis.
I
We're
know.
looking at $10,000 a day in fines.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, I will say this design builds out whatever can be 3 MGD from the get-go. So
How do you cut that 3-year time frame down is the real question. I thought all one of this Aramod was it gave us the ability to expand, but also make
Faster, and it's not faster.
That's not the
Still
issue.
2
The
years.
issue is getting the treated effluent, the treated wastewater out of the plant so you have capacity in that plant.
Well, I'm aware that we have an issue with what we do with the effluent. My concern is if this council says we're at 1 MGD and we've got to go to 2, and they find a way to find the money, and we have a place to put it, and it's 3 years, what we're dealing with right now is gonna be small potatoes is what we're having to tell developers are asking how fast.
Well, roughly a year of that can be knocked down if the council decided that you wanted to go ahead and do the design for the second phase of this, and you finance, however you chose to finance that design process. If those plans were on the shelf and ready to go, then that would knock a year off the 3 years. You're still looking at 2 years for the plant expansion itself. But that does cut down that time by a third.
I'm just very, very
So just so you understand where we are today, real time, we've gotten legislative appropriation for Bulldog Road. It's under design. Maybe by another 6 months, the design will be done, you think, Bill?
Yeah, I believe it'll be faster than that, but
So if $80 billion fell out of the sky, and we got working on this, it's gonna be 3 years, and that's if everything just goes perfect, and it never does. Does it, Mr. Mayor, when you're trying to build a community center?
But know that we are addressing this every week their infrastructure needs, and we are combing properties, and we are looking for those sites that are going to work for RIP locations. We're working on that constantly. We deal with this every day,
Yeah.
literally.
What do we do if our need catches up with us before we're done with this 3-year project? I mean, is there a mechanism to switch tracks and, add on mid-project? I mean, is that something
No, you
that
can't do that.
can't do that, we would have to slow
You
it?
can't do that, yeah.
It would be at the council's discretion, of course, the advice of legal counsel, but you could potentially change, if you had good rates from a contractor, they were willing to hold certain rates or work with you on a change order, you could possibly change order, that second phase into what you did on the first phase.
It's gonna depend on the funding source.
It is a
SRF's
possibility.
unlikely to agree to that, USDA never would have agreed to it.
Yeah, you're not gonna increase your funding when you choose to do that. You have to look for additional funding, which also impacts the rates that you're looking at right now. And I will say too, I think somebody had mentioned about a decision on this tonight. I'm trying to give you information, I'm not trying to influence this, but for us to be able to get everything in, for you to be evaluated at the November meeting for SRF, we are running out of time. Now,
Well, they need the resolution on the SRF, so why don't we go ahead, we can keep having this schedule, let's go ahead and have a motion to approve the SRF resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I doubt there's any more discussion, but is there any more?
Well, there might be more about the rest of it than all this, I mean, that's not the argument.
Any public comment?
Let's do that.
Councilwoman Happ,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst, and Councilman Curtis. Motion carried.
Well, if y'all remember the last meeting when PFM was here, from the get-go, this has been, I've known it's gonna have to be a piecemeal legislative appropriation, SRF, USDA, whoever we can get it from.
I mean, I think we knew that, but it's the years in between that concern me. And I know that that's not,
you're asking really good questions.
are what concern me, because when I came on 8 years ago, we were just starting with the Earl Godwin expansion, so I'm just worried with the growth we're seeing. It's not slowing down in Freeport, right? Our growth is still increasing, so I just want to be really cautious and careful with the steps we take to keep up with that, so we don't get in behind. But I appreciate all the work you've done, the presentation, I appreciate all of that.
Yes, ma'am. No, I think the questions are very good, and they need to be asked. So.
It is a catch-22, you can't get too far ahead of it, and you can't get too far behind it, you just have to.
Right. Okay,
I mean,
well, we can keep on this. So we're good with this then, Clay, and then we can move on and continue to digest it.
Well,
Okay.
we need to have that conversation, and I would say it's probably important for us to go ahead and look at what the full design plans would look like to go from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3.
Yeah,
I mean, anything that can shave your time off, we need to be aware of,
yes, we do.
because if it hits us, I'll say this, and Matilda knows this probably as astutely as anyone here. We wouldn't be in a position where we'd be talking about a water and sewer system today if all of the development that was on the books, 08, 09, can come forward by 2012.
Yeah,
By the time Mayor Barley came into office, we'd have been a city without a water and sewer system because somebody had been taking it over because we didn't have the ability to service it.
right.
The economic downturn legitimately bailed the city out and allowed us to keep growing. I mean, we had got very far ahead of ourselves and done a great job, but we could not keep up. It was everything we could do. And I'll just tell you, I sat through the bond validation on the North Bay system, where we were within, I believe, 70 connections that if we missed, we would be outside of our ability to cover debt. I mean, that's in a year. We needed, I mean, it was, I believe it was 73 connections that, plus or minus, if we missed that count, we were defaulting on that entire system and all of our loans were gone. And we made it. We made 118 versus 73 we needed, which is great, but you think about that, I mean, and I guess my concern is maybe we do see a downturn. Maybe we bet on it again. We weren't betting on it back then, were we, Latilda? Not the way they did Freeport. And I'll say this too. You don't know, once these other ones start developing, my comparison would be we've got more than one Hammock Bay. Back then we had Hammock Bay and we had some others that were playing around in it. These groups, if they start, when they actually decide to spend the money and start, it's gonna be like Hammock Bay and what Mr. Odom did, they're gonna develop it.
Right.
And we're not gonna be able, so my concern is there that I don't know that we can rely on that or that we'll get lucky like that again. But two, we are about to step out, and Jeremy and I have had lengthy conversations with PFM about this. Bond council and I've had lengthy conversations about it. The city to do this is going to step out at some point in time to some form of private finance. Maybe a small, maybe a large one. We can't rely on USDA to do it, but the moment we do, the likelihood that we are eligible to go back to USDA is very slim, if not none.
Right.
And the likelihood that SRF is going to come in 2 years later and give us another $20 million, I don't know. I mean,
Right.
we'd hope, but that's not been how SRF's handled it in the past. It's a cycle. So, yeah, if we have to spend a little bit more money in present day dollars to do whatever we can to shave time,
Definitely.
it's time to go ahead and think about it.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Well, I can tell you, we're talking about close in October of last year.
Yeah.
We were pumping .9 and our permit was .9, so we were real close.
And that's my point, is what happens when DEP steps in and says, we're bringing in somebody to operate your system for you, and it's
I know,
gone.
I know.
To just add one other item that just made me think when you were saying that. In conversations that I've been having with SRF, they did mention, because, like I said, the facility is built for a 3 million gallon upgrade, they told me they would not approve for SRF dollars the 3 million gallon upgrade unless there was effluent disposal capacity available to match that. So
As long as
anyways,
search continues.
Right,
Right.
that will tie up future dollars,
right.
if you're looking to do this.
So at this point, we're gonna go for the million gallon, sorry.
I wish it was that.
Million gallon, and
Million gallon.
then at this point, we can be looking for the rib site. We've got a few years to find us a site, right? And then we can go for the upgrades when we should have a site by then to move forward.
It's always a good idea to have things pre-designed and planned. So
Yes.
you go for the money.
I want to do that as well. I think we all agree
Yes.
that we need to find our site and then do our design to shave off some time.
Okay. Is that, if I'm not overstepping, is that something that you want us to bring a task order to you for that additional?
Yeah, we need to
Do we need to find the site first, or can we do the task order first?
We need to start, let's get, bring us the task force,
Okay.
decide whether we have to go out for another RFQ for it.
You wanted to make a motion for that?
No, let them bring
Okay,
it to
just
you, we'll
direction.
talk about it.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
And so just so you know, Cliff Nauer and I met with the airline folks and Philip and everybody on this Bulldog Road thing 2 years ago.
I remember.
Until said, we've been working on this for 2 years.
I remember.
No, I don't think anybody's worried about how long it's been, I think it's making sure it don't take as long again.
Right, okay. I'm done.
We'll
Thank you so much.
we'll bring that to you for your review, yes.
I appreciate it, thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And under that item, I did have one other item, under that. The
Oh,
proposal
nice.
from Riper Weather Analytics for the preparation of the capital finance plan. So I would just be looking for a motion to approve, their proposal, or if y'all have any questions.
Second.
Mr. Green made and seconded. Any further comment? Public comment? Councilwoman Haffner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
Councilman Fair?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much, we appreciate it.
Finance.
Okay, so continue the discussion we just had. So good evening. This next item is the resolution for the utility rates to start October 1 and carry us through the end of 29/30. It supports all the work that you've seen.
Right,
We need this resolution to support the application.
okay. I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further comments? Public comment? Councilman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilman Hurst? And Councilman Barry?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item is related to the insurance renewal for the new year. We request a motion to approve the insurance issued through FMIT via for the League of Cities in the amount of $391,638.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilman Hurst?
Aye.
Councilman Barry?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Legal.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a resolution authorizing the city of Freeport to submit an application with state-funded grant agreement with the local transportation project, otherwise known as Marquee Way. Please don't mind.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comment? Any public comment? Councilman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilman Hurst?
Aye.
Councilman Barry?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Park.
Evening, Council, Mayor. So I did have three, and now I have two items. So the first one is request motion for a special event permit for the Freeport High School parade. And also for their route, it's from Shipyard Road to the middle school. Now it's from the old middle school to the new middle school.
Okay. I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilman Hurst?
Aye.
Councilman Barry?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then the second one is the fall co-ed softball, the registration fees. In the past, I had them at $555 for registration fees. That was with man hours, equipment, and materials, and supply of the softballs. So this time I want to drop it down to $430 because we don't seem that we need to supply the softballs because they don't come back to us or they go missing. So we're gonna make them supply. So,
Yeah.
I make that motion. I second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
And Councilman Barry?
Aye.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We will resume the meeting now. Next on the agenda is planning.
Good evening. If you would turn to tab 21 in your book. And I'm going to ask for direction from legal on this point. In the ordinance where we have the first reading for the Grow With Us rezoning, the parcel number that was listed was the original parcel number for the property. The legal description here is correct, but during the time that we received the application for the rezoning and now, there was a lot split. So they have new parcel numbers, and my question for legal, can we hold second reading with that correction, now that I've made that explanation, or do we need to hold another first reading with the new parcel numbers, and then we set another hearing in September?
Regrettably, because the ordinance title includes the parcel ID number, we have to start it.
Okay. So
The
tonight,
substance of the ordinance does not change, but the notice is substantially impaired based on that. So therefore, the motion appropriately on this item would be to direct staff to re-advertise with the corrected parcel ID for the Grow With Us rezoning, and to authorize staff to hold first reading tonight of that revised ordinance.
Okay.
So if somebody would so move that, we would be.
So moved.
Okay.
Motion been made and seconded.
all right. So an ordinance
But
amendment,
they gotta vote.
I'm sorry, we haven't voted yet.
Any public comment? Councilman Hacker,
Aye.
Councilman Hurst,
Aye.
and Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, to hold the first reading, an ordinance amending the zoning map series included by reference in Article 3 of the Land Development Code of the City of Freeport, specifically a portion of the parcels identified with property reference number 16 1 South 19 23,000 0100031 and 16 1 South 19 23,000 0100032, containing approximately 1.89 acres more or less, and described by the legal description contained in section 1 below, amending the zoning assignment from high-density residential to residential commercial. Thank you, and I will get that ad out, and that'll come back to you the end of September.
And for the record, for anybody who looked at this in the packet, the parcel ID ending in 0030 was the parent parcel that has now been split into 0031 and 0032. So this document is not what is being advertised.
All right. And if you'll move on to tab 22 in your document, this is a land development code revision for code enforcement. As you know, we took code enforcement in-house, and this was to update the code enforcement provisions in our land development code. I will be developing a code enforcement ordinance in conjunction with legal, which will go into the fine details of all the process. This is just to update our code so that it's in compliance while we work on that ordinance. And if you look at the ordinance, on page 1 of 4, it says that this section is subject to additional requirements contained in the Freeport Code Enforcement Ordinance, which I'm going to be working on with Mr. Atkinson. And then it just basically references the new special magistrate and for the hearing for resolution, and then scheduling the hearing with the magistrate, but it doesn't go into the fine details. That will come with the code enforcement ordinance. And we are asking to hold first reading of this ordinance tonight and to advertise for second reading.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment. Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch. And Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
An ordinance amending the Freeport Land Development Code, Article 2, providing for authority and purpose, conflict severability, and effective date. Thank you. Moving on to tab 23, this is the Timber Bridge PDP, and this item is going to be presented by Ms. Smith Grace.
So efficient. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
This is a residential PDP on Bayloop West. They are asking for 3 variances. One is for lot size, one is for ISR, and one is for the width. All 3 of these are basically because they're trying to maximize, if you look at the drawing of the conceptual plan in your packet, they're trying to maximize their use of green space and to minimize the impact on the wetlands. The density allowed for this property comes out to 78 units. They're only going to be requesting 74 units, so they're not maxing out the density. Again, clustering because they're trying to protect the wetlands and basically maximize their green space. If you look, they're going to have a bridge walkover to put a dog park. There's a lot of open green space there for the residents. And do you have any questions for me? I do have the engineer here. If you have specific questions for him, David Campbell is here.
Councilwoman Hafner.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a little bit of this lot size is 0.16 of an acre. That's very, very small.
Again, this is the PDP, which by its nature is a variance to our code, so I cannot make a recommendation one way or the other. I'm just trying to present the facts, and
No, I
the engineer is here.
I don't like that. I'm just not, that is so there, and I understand they have wetlands, but that, I mean, those are gonna be, we don't have anything with a lot size that small.
Well, Tim, I think we do have a 3/8 of an acre.
Who is that? Where is that?
We have some 50 by 1, so 50
Yes.
across the front, 100 deep,
1 acre.
is a 1/8 of an acre, which is smaller than this.
What, can you tell me an example?
The total.
Outside is that small?
Bluffs as phases of that small.
But it's not the whole area, it's a pocket.
The original Freeport plantation, some of the original ones in
Yes.
there on 331 are made
This
that one.
entire 70-ish units are gonna be that compact.
I think County K has no idea that size lot.
Schooner Landing.
Right.
Maybe Schooner Landing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but that's a
a few.
very small portion of MFA. do it. I understand, it's just tight, that's small. So what type of houses are you gonna build? Are these gonna be one-story or
We don't know yet.
we don't know
We
yet?
haven't spoken to any builders about this.
Okay. And so we've got one way in, one way out. I see a little pocket park, retention pond, and then the rest of it is wetlands.
In fact, they add, they are not requesting any variance to setback, so the house will still have to meet the setback regulations.
Okay. Okay.
And this is, I think this is fairly, I'm trying to pull up Riverwalk, and I think this is consistent with, but Riverwalk was always between 0.15, 0.20.
Okay.
So they went to a fifth of an acre.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull the last 4 or 5, I'm planning nodding with me, I'm going back to my planning.
No, I appreciate it, that's fine.
I think what makes this project stand out is that isolated recreation area. It's a little over 2 acres, which will be separated from the
I
housing.
see that. Okay.
Yeah.
The timber bridge.
So how, is that, you said it's a bridge is gonna go across that for the
Right.
rail track? Oh, that's very nice. Okay.
Do you need motions?
Yes.
I'll make
Yes,
that
it-
motion.
when you're finished with your questions, they are seeking a motion for a resolution for residential PDP.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded, further discussion? Public comment? Councilman Hess?
Aye.
Councilman Hirsch?
Aye.
And Councilman Travis?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The next item I have is some additional information regarding the city's establishment of a building department. I'm going to give you a little history, and then I'm going to give you some points to consider, and then some conclusions. Because we've done a lot of meeting, Mark and I, talking to the county building department, talking to the county, and there's additional information available now that you did not have when you made your decision, and it's only right that you have all the information. The history is that the city council directed staff to research and present a proposal for in-house code enforcement after the county administrator and county code enforcement director met with city staff and requested that the city take over city code enforcement. And the city council then reviewed the interlocal agreement regarding code enforcement, building permits, and planning services. The city council approved the planning and zoning proposal for in-house code enforcement and directed staff to develop a proposal for in-house building permits. After that, the city council reviewed and approved the planning and zoning proposal to do in-house building permits. And then city staff, and that would have been Mr. Mark Martin and I, met with county building department staff to discuss transition from county permitting to city permitting, and we came away with quite a bit of additional information that we need to make you aware of. And these are the points to consider. And this is based on our discussions with them and their staff. So this is for your information. The interlocal language regarding building permits has never been in question. There are no concerns with the current building permit process or the ability of the building department to provide timely service. It's just never been a concern. A city building department will not provide different or additional service beyond what is currently available utilizing the county building department. Now, unlike the Walton County Code Enforcement, the county building department desires to continue serving the city with building permit services. The county staff of the building department was very surprised by the city's direction, and they came to city staff with concerns that the relationship had somehow changed without their knowledge, and asked and desired to repair that relationship if necessary. They were worried that they had done something wrong, that they had somehow broken our trust or whatever. And city planning and county building staff, I have to say, and I have known Billy Bearden now for 40 years, and have worked with Mr. Billy Bearden, the building official, for more than 40 years, and we have always had an excellent relationship, and that is based on mutual respect and trust and open communication. The county building department leadership has been in place for more than 30 years with adequate facilities and qualified staff to handle building permitting and vast and valuable historical knowledge. The building department fees are generated specifically through permitting fees and have no basis in ad valorem city or county taxes. The fees and the service are the same for everyone, regardless of whether or not you live in the city or the county. There is no difference. And based on a review of new requirements pertaining to this year's legislative actions pertaining to building permits, third-party inspectors, etc., city staff has recalculated the proposed building permit staffing needs. A 2-member department will not be adequate to maintain customer service at the current level of service. The new requirements based on legislative actions are more complex. They require shorter timelines for processing and much more record management. Staff estimates the need for an initial building department to be 10 employees, plus the need for 3 to 4 vehicles, office equipment, radios, cell phones, laptops, and 10 workstation spaces, plus customer area, plus housing for the department. Due to these increases, much more preparation is needed before the department could be staffed and active. And these are my conclusions based on what Mark Martin and I were told after working and looking at the county's process, the county's guidelines on what you have to do. The city currently has a reputation of being courteous, timely, and fiscally responsible. That is our reputation. It is important that we carefully and objectively review all aspects and considerations of the creation of positions based on long-term need, not as a response to any vague, unresearched, unfounded criticism from any individual group. We need to make sure that this is what we want to do. If current processes and relationships are working in the best interest of the city's citizens, the city should maintain those processes as is. The city has the option of placing a hold on the current building department initiative in order to more carefully evaluate current processes and future needs. The initiative can be reassessed annually for structure, viability, and service to our community. Staff is prepared to report on these matters annually during the budget workshop process. But as a result of everything we've learned from the county in terms of the new permitting requirements, there's more reporting requirements, there are affidavit requirements, there's a lot of things that have to be reported on that we did not initially plan on, but after talking to the county building department and looking at what they provide to us, the same as any county citizen, I want to stress that so carefully, that the fees that they have for the city are exactly the same as the fees they have in the county. No more, no less. But I recommend that based on the increased needs, that we maintain the current interlocal agreement for building permit services with Walton County, and that we annually reevaluate all interlocal services for viability and service. Based on the new needs, I don't think that we are prepared to take on what would end up being 10 more employees at this time. I think that the county is willing and able, under Billy Beard's direction, to handle everything exactly as they have, with the same courtesy and attention to detail, and that we should look at all our interlocal agreements annually to make sure that those are still viable and serviceable. Again, it is important that we evaluate these interlocal agreements that, based on the research and what we found out from the county, I really feel at this time that we need to put a pause on the building permit initiative and look at it again next year and see what happens. There have been a number of legislative changes that are going to affect building permit requirements. This is a system that's not broke right now. I suggest that we keep it as is and reevaluate in a year. That is my recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, Tilda, I appreciate what you and Mark and Billy Beard and all of y'all done. I've known Billy Beard for many years.
Yes, sir, I know you.
And Billy has really, his department has really worked good with us. And I know sometimes we can end up, and we can all get frustrated. I know I can too, when certain things go on. And I believe sometimes then we let our emotions or we jump the gun. And I do think, because I have talked with Mark about this too in the past, I do think we need to pause what we were going to do. I believe that a lot of times we end up, one of the problems I think we as humans have at times is that lack of communication.
Yes.
And when someone gets out there, because I know I've let it affect me, when someone gets out there and they make a comment or they make a comment about our city or about any of us, you get on the defensive.
Yes.
And there's some times that I've learned, I've got to stop and slow down and first look at the picture, then look at the whole picture, and then be able to get that communication going, just like what y'all done. And I appreciate you and Mark for what you've done. And I do think, I mean, I worked with the Sheriff's Department for 30 years. I know how the county works too. I love my county, and I think there's times we in the county, we do work good. We work good together.
Yes.
And to me, I think this is where we need to pause this and continue that relationship.
Councilwoman Hafner?
Thanks, Mayor. This greatly upset me as I brought this, we all talked about this coming forward, and I was led to believe this was a good amount of money the city could make. So this was not against the county. I love our county too. Nothing against Philly Buildings Department, none of those things. This was to bring a little bit of independence to the city, I thought, of handling our own permits. So I'm a bit upset that this research wasn't done before we went through all this and before we did a motion and before we did all these things. I don't know that I can go tonight to pause it. I still don't understand how all this unraveled, and this was months in the making and bringing it forward. I would prefer all this information to come ahead of time, that we knew there was an issue. I hate that they feel like they did something wrong. That's not our intent. I don't feel that way. I feel like the rug kind of got pulled out from under me, to be honest, because I was under the impression this was millions of dollars of permit fee money the county has given to the city, and now we learned that's not true. So I'm still struggling a little bit with how this kind of got mixed up. But I don't think, I guess we need to take it on if it's not going to make any money for the city. But I don't see how all these numbers got skewed up from millions of dollars to, well, it's nothing. So that's kind of where I'm
Here's the
struggling.
other part of that. Building permits are restricted by statute on how they can be utilized, and you can't take monies that come from building permits and use it for anything other than the building department and the expenses of the building department. We talked about that at length, because you can't take the money that goes to building permits and transfer it over to roads, and you can't transfer it over to water or sewer or to planning or anywhere else. It has to use specifically for the purpose of building permits. It is self-supporting, but it's not going to make you money that you can utilize in any other area of the city.
But see, that should have been brought to us ahead of time. Like, I feel like this information should have been brought before we voted on it. And that's where it upsets me that we were not told any of this until after it's been months that we voted on it. I just wish that we would have done the research, and I know you're a researcher, and I know Mark is as well, so I guess it's just a reminder lesson for us all. let's get all this hashed out before the council votes on something, because I don't like feeling this way about something that we voted on.
I think that we continually need to evaluate. I think we always need to, at every budget cycle, evaluate all of our interlocals, where we're spending money, how we're doing it, and I do believe that's right. You know, I think that this council has established themselves as being very fiscally responsible. Just because we're making money doesn't mean we're gonna spend money. I mean, that's just the way it is. But this was information that I could not get from the county commission. We had to be in a position to go in and sit down with that department and have this conversation to get this additional information.
If I can interject for a moment, whether the council votes to rescind its prior action on this tonight or not, I would ask the council's indulgence to consider perhaps pausing the actual transition and perhaps continue exploration if you so choose, but to not attempt to formally implement it at the start of the budget year for the following couple of reasons. I had a very lengthy meeting about a week ago with Latilda and Mark. Mr. Wallace, the planner for Peniac, came in and joined, just one for convenience because we're all talking about it together. Everybody's heard us talk about Senate Bill 180. That's probably the big land development, what I'd say statute that takes all the air out of the room. But for the city, it is actually the least significant. And I know that sounds surprising. 1080 deals with development orders. Now, we have a very good process of letting the community that comes forward to develop know where they are in the process. But that's a process we have. 1080 that was passed now requires us to acknowledge receipt within so many days, provide responsive information within so many days, and to approve not just through planning, but all the way through your level. And in fact, the two time frames are 120 and 180 days start to finish for whether it requires planning approval or city approval. There are about 4 other bills that went into effect that I've ranked them on that go into effect between July 1 and October 1. And some actually go into effect next year as well. I am confident, and I will put my opinion on the line by saying that our planning department is ahead of the curve on this from where a lot of cities that I've dealt with and talked to the League of Cities about are. That being said, if it is the council's desire to continue with this, as much confidence I know you have in Matilda, I'd ask perhaps 60 to 90 days. Let's get past that October 1 deadline. Let's make sure we're being compliant. The plat statute alone, turnaround time, is gone from what would have been, we were probably very efficient at a month and a half compared to a lot of local governments. I mean, 45 days, 6 weeks, 15 days now, and not working days, 15 days all in. And every one of these statutes don't say business days or working days. 15 days, 30 days. I have a little qualm, and again, what you ultimately choose to do with this, you still want to go forward with it, explore it some more, but after having that meeting with them, having gone back and talked to the city manager, and he was not able to be with us that day, having talked to county staff, having now sat through 2 different conference calls involving the League of Cities, there is a lot of consternation around the state right now about the time frames, or just basically short fuses set up and blow up in cities' faces. So my comment tonight would be, if the council does still want to explore it, please keep doing it, but perhaps don't ask for it to start at the start of the budget year, because a couple of these statutes that are kickoff October 1, we miss a plat by 1 day, we're giving up all our fees.
Yeah.
That's the kind of penalties they put on us. We can't afford that.
Well, then, so I would be okay with putting a pause, but to rescind our action, I prefer to wait till our other 2 council members were here to rescind it. Is everybody okay with that then? We could vote to pause, and then if they want to rescind it, we can do that later. Because I don't want to get us into a sticky situation.
No, and I understand, you know, and I would have liked to have had more of this information at the time we had made this decision. And moving forward, I think it's an obligation for us to ask more questions and for us to really dive into all of this. But, you know, there are other things, and just to kind of elaborate with what planning's saying, the need for additional employees, the fact that we don't physically have a building right now to put these people in, the time frame that it would take to build this. I don't like the idea of getting temporary buildings, you know, to accommodate, and if the process itself has become more onerous even for the seasoned, you know, department to do this, we should focus on need for our city versus we want to do this or we think it could potentially bring in more revenue. We need to really reflect, is there a need? And the fact that the county is doing this, working, you know, very cohesively with the city, people are having good results. You know, Billy works really great. He's got a knowledge base like no other and works very well with everyone that's trying to get, you know, building permits and the way that the city and the county work on these things. I mean, it's all functioning very well. And, you know, we are taking on new things, and so we just need to reflect and to make sure that we're not taking on too many all at one time. And so the idea of a pause, I like. The idea of an annual review, if you know, I don't object to waiting till other, you know, council members are here to vote conclusively about it, but I think that we need to vote tonight on a pause.
And the pause could stay. I mean, we could keep our.
It could be
pause could
indefinite,
stay
you know,
annually, so
it
could
could
stay
be until an
until-
annual review.
And I do agree with what y'all are saying, because
Yeah.
we need all of the facts when everything's brought before us.
We do.
And I think we've all learned, it's been a learning lesson
It has.
with what we've gone through.
Sure, it's two-sided. It's
Yeah.
our questions and inquiry and what's presented.
And
So-
I've been making us think that, you know, at that time, we were doing the right thing. But it goes back to that lack, we gotta have better communication. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the motion to pause it
Okay, with an annual review?
with an annual review.
Okay, and I second that motion.
That's
Motion been made to pause and an annual review.
Yes.
It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hager.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
Motion carried.
If you look at tab 25 of your book, under a comprehensive plan, it's, we're supposed to do an annual review of our capital improvements program. Mr. Mark and I work together along using the projects that we have, that we review in infrastructure, and we have created a list. This list is divided up into different categories: transportation improvements, pedestrian improvements, water transport, stormwater, I can't even read, clean water, wastewater, recreation, city facilities, and landscaping. And I do want to point out that if we have to have projects that we're going to consider putting forward for grant funding, USDA funding, any other kind of funding, they need to be in our capital improvements list. And we've tried to be all-inclusive. And the numbers that are here are general estimates. They are not final numbers. They are ballpark numbers, just round numbers. It's very important for you to know those are round numbers. They are not the actual cost of these projects. They're what we believe that the project is going to cost. It's not absolute. But I wanted to present this to you for you to review and see, do we need to put 4 Mile Road on that since you're going to have the county do it or not? No? It's not going to be,
It's not required.
it's not going to be $3 million, and it's just a kind of the threshold thing, but okay. But anyway, we have the list to put before you. We're asking you to approve the list, knowing that at any time during the year that we need to add to it, we can.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Hackman. Councilwoman Hurst. And Councilman Fair.
Aye.
I was just gonna say, the CPI list is very important when we go out for
Yes.
Yes, it's important that it be on the list, and we provide a copy of our list when we do that.
Of course.
My add-on item tonight is regarding the 331 North landscaping project. You all are aware that we were donated literally by Scenic Walton a set of plans to landscape the northern end of 331 as you come into the city, and you all saw a plan. Well, in between now and then, while we've been working with Anchor CEI, who got assigned to this project, DOT added landscaping to that intersection of Old and New 331. So we're kind of backing up and we're looking at doing landscaping for 1.5 miles in that area. And there's also a beautification grant through DOT that we want to explore to see if we can use some of that funding instead of using funding that we have in the general fund that we collected through protected tree buyouts. So what I'm asking tonight is to put together a grant application to expand. We're going to put that landscaping. It will augment what DOT's already done and actually put more in along 1.5 mile stretch down as far as Acadia Way. And we want to be able to submit a grant to do it. I will bring you the site plan before we submit it because it's just basically drought tolerant species that don't need a lot of watering, and just to add some more all along that area to make it more beautiful as you're coming into the city. Is what we're trying to do, but I need permission for Anchor to apply for the grant. I will bring you the package so that you can see it before they submit it, but I wasn't willing for them to do that without you approving for them to submit it.
For us to approve Anchor to apply for the grant.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Hampton?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst?
Aye.
Councilman Fair?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carried.
That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Matilda.
I just have one quick thing. I had an add-on for Art in the Park here back on June the 7th. We were going to have that at the very Freeport Park, and we had to do away with it. I've had some artists reach out to me, and I've been working with Casey and Red, and we would like permission from the council to move forward with that event on September the 20th from 9 to 2. Here in Freeport.
Sure.
We don't make a motion, is that it?
We do not.
Okay. Any public comment?